for this webinar. We are excited to share insights of the UNIgreen Talent Management Strategy. Before we begin, here are some important details regarding this event. This event will be recorded and we will upload it on the UNIgreen YouTube. You might use the chat at any time to ask questions. Our moderator will advise them during the event. UNIgreen is an alliance of 8 higher education institutions dedicated to advancing education research and innovations, with a strong focus on sustainable solutions that address the needs of local communities. Together, its members strive to lead in sustainable agriculture, green biotechnology, and environmental and life science, cultivating future leaders who drive the transition to the climate neutral and resourcing efficient economy. It's my pleasure to introduce today moderator, Professor Vladislav Popov, a distinguished professor at the Department of Agroecology at the Agricultural University of Plovdiv, and the UNIgreen coordinator for WP6, Transfer of Knowledge, Society and Ecology. Today, we will have 3 presentations, following by a panel discussions and a Q&A sessions, and we will have a conclusions and closing on our webinar. Now, I'll pass the floor to Professor Popov to continue.
I'm really grateful for the invitation to share my insights on a topic that I'm very fond of, which is career development and management. So I thank you for the invitation, and especially to the Polytechnic University of Coimbra and Sara Proença. Given the goal of this webinar, that is to gather insights and perspectives that will contribute to design the UNIgreen Talent Management Strategy and Plan, I hope to bring some valuable contribution. I will share how we at Polytechnic University of Coimbra support students in preparing for their professional future and career management through the Trilhos program. But beyond that, I was also suggested to share some insights on organizational career management, drawing from my previous experience in human resources management and my current job as a career psychologist, besides my work as a coordinator of the Trilhos program at Polytechnic University of Coimbra. Before we dive in, here are some two key ideas that I hope that you take away from this presentation. One is that career co-creation is essential for sustainable talent management. It is important to shift from traditional career models and embrace collaborative talent development, empowering both students and employees from the higher education institutions to take an active role in their professional growth. And also that empowered individuals drive organizational success. When institutions invest in equipping their employees in career literacy and self-management skills and structure career growth opportunities, they benefit from higher engagement, stronger retention, and long-term innovation. So these are the main takeaways that I would like you to take. To guide our discussion, I've structured the presentation in 4 key sections. First, the 2 dimensions of career co-creation, looking at how career co-creation applies to both students and employees. Second, challenges for the higher education institutions in talent management sustainability, exploring some of the key talent management challenges institutions are facing today. Why career co-creation? The third point, understanding the benefits of a co-created approach to career development. And finally, some practical actions and strategies outlining actionable initiatives to foster career co-creation for both students and higher education institutions, employees, including faculty, researchers, and non-teaching staff. The two dimensions of career co-creation. So what are those two dimensions that we will explore today? Of course, the students' dimension. Career education may not be part of the core business of higher education institutions, but educating students about the labor market is an expectation increasingly voiced by employers and also by students. Employers consistently highlight the need for graduates who are not only academically prepared, but also career ready. This means that universities must take an active role in equipping students with the necessary skills, with tools, with knowledge to transition effectively into the workforce, because this is one major transition in our lives to go to the market. This is why the first dimension of career co-creation that we'll focus on is students, ensuring that they are well prepared, adaptable, and empowered to take control of their career paths. The second dimension we need to consider is career co-creation for higher education institutions' employees. Higher education institutions are organizations, and like any other organization, they must invest in their people. Creating an environment that fosters growth, skill development, and career progression is not just beneficial for employees, it directly contributes to the institution's success. And this applies to all employees, faculty, researchers, and non-teaching staff. And that's the way we can identify talent and grow and develop talent. If we want sustainable talent management, institutions must take an active approach on empowering their workforce to evolve, to adapt, and to thrive. Now I'd like to explore some key challenges impacting career co-creation, both for students and for staff. The first is about competition. There's more competition on the market. The education landscape is more competitive than ever. Universities are no longer just competing with each other. They're competing with boot camps, with micro-credentials, with professional certifications, and the growing number of online training providers. And this intensifies the challenge of attracting students, the future professionals, while also recruiting and retaining top faculty and staff. Second, students nowadays have higher standards. They expect more from universities today than they did in the past. They are customers used to high levels of service and technology in their daily lives, and they expect their educational experience to match high standards as well. To remain competitive, higher education institutions must innovate and differentiate, not just in the academic offerings, but in the student experience as a whole. This also impacts talent management because institutions must ensure that their workforce is agile, is engaged, and prepared to meet these evolving expectations. I also already talked about the experiences. Nowadays, we have a focus on experience rather than degrees. Traditionally, universities competed by offering the best professors, the best facilities, the highest rankings, the higher average grades, etc. But today's students are looking for an experience, not just a degree. This shift requires universities to rethink how they structure the learning environments, how they manage their faculty and staff, and to build meaningful career connections for students. Also, the multicultural and diverse environment we are living in brings enormous benefits, but also presents challenges in terms of addressing a wide range of needs, a wide range of expectations and perspectives, both among students and staff. Institutions so need inclusive career development strategies that acknowledge and support this diversity. And of course, costs versus funding. Many higher education institutions are dealing with reduced public funding and the rising of operational costs. And this creates pressure to optimize existing resources, including human capital. And institutions need to focus on maximizing the potential of their workforce while ensuring financial sustainability as well. And finally, this talent attraction versus talent development. In Portugal, for example, certain public sectors are already struggling with a high turnover and people leaving from the public services. And while this may not be a widespread crisis in higher education institutions, it could become if institutions fail to invest in employee development. Attracting new talent is essential, but so is nurturing and growing the talent that already exists within the institution. Institutions need structured career development initiatives to retain their best people and prevent talent loss. Moving on to why career co-creation? Why do I bring this concept of co-creation of careers, given this scenario and these challenges? Why is career co-creation a possible solution? Well, because careers are no longer predictable or employer-driven. The traditional linear career model fully managed by organizations is disappearing. Today, careers are protean and boundaryless. Protean careers emphasize self-direction, adaptability, and personal values over rigid hierarchies and predefined paths. Success is no longer measured by promotions alone. It's about personal satisfaction and well-being. And the boundaryless careers highlight mobility, with individuals moving across different jobs, across different organizations, and even industries sometimes over their lifetime, and also sometimes simultaneously, with more than one job simultaneously. These new career models demand that professionals actively manage their own careers, and this means career management can no longer be the sole responsibility of employers. Employees now play an active role in shaping their careers, and this shift means career management must become a shared responsibility between individuals and employers. For professionals within an organization, their career growth depends on skills and competency development and on the definition of development paths. Hierarchical or otherwise, and this cannot be done this can be done better in a shared way, because the context in which they work is the ground for development. Embracing this partnership, this co-creation approach, is the best solution for professionals to develop as they wish and aspire to, within the opportunities available in their organization. Second, because nowadays we talk about employability security rather than job security. Career stability now depends on continuous skill development and adaptability. Organizations must create ecosystems for lifelong learning, not only for students, but also for faculty and staff. When employees expand their skills, their networks and knowledge, they don't just advance their own careers, they drive institutional growth and innovation. And career self-management is a necessity, not a luxury. Career self-management models emphasize goal setting, networking, continuous development, and institutions that empower employees with the right tools, resources, and support foster career sustainability, helping both individuals and the organization to thrive. This is why career education should not be limited to students. Faculty and staff also need career literacy programs to navigate and advance their professional paths. And finally, career co-creation is a partnership. It should be a partnership. Career research shows that organizations with structured management practices experience higher employee innovation, learning agility, and engagement, which directly impacts talent retention and performance. When institutions invest in career co-creation, they cultivate a workforce that is engaged, that is motivated and adaptable and ready to take on new challenges. A strategic approach to organizational career management benefits both employees and institutions. It leads to higher productivity, to stronger employer branding, and a more committed workforce, ultimately contributing to long-term institutional success. Now we dive into some practical steps to implement career co-creation. Some practical strategies for students and also for employees. And we will start with the students, looking at how Trilhos fosters literacy and employability development at the Polytechnic University of Coimbra. So what is Trilhos? Trilhos is the Skills and Employability Development Program at the Polytechnic University of Coimbra. It is the institution's commitment to career co-creation with its students and even recent graduates. The name Trilhos translates to paths, a metaphor that symbolizes the diversity of career journeys, the diversity of self-discovery, and diversity of ways to professionally develop. Our mission, Trilhos exists to empower, to guide, and to mobilize students from the Polytechnic University to develop their skills, to enhance their employability, and take ownership of their career paths from the start. Beyond the social responsibility of preparing students for the workforce, the program also aligns with employers' expectations, bridging the gap between education and the labor market. By enhancing students' awareness to the job market and their role in their career management, Trilhos aims to ensure that they enter the workforce well prepared and proactive. Additionally, the program aims to contribute to higher employability rates, benefiting both students and the institution, because we know that a strong employability records helps attract new students and fosters stronger alumni engagement, potentially turning graduates into advocates for the institution. So how do we do it? This is the Trilhos framework. Trilhos operates through a structured ecosystem of activities organized into three main clusters on your right, running through all the academic year every year. The first cluster on the right, the blue one, is the professional positioning and presentation cluster that gathers activities to support students in preparing for the job market and refining their personal branding, their job search strategies, and application materials. In this cluster, we want to reinforce, we insist on this. We want to reinforce the role of the students, future professionals, in their career self-management and their professional growth. The second cluster of activities is the orange, the soft and transferable skills cluster that offers activities with tools and resources to develop relevant skills, including psychological literacy, financial literacy, entrepreneurial mindset, and social and environmental volunteering, for example, among others. And the third cluster, it's the job market approach that reunites activities to connect students with employers and professionals through career fairs, entrepreneurship and business idea development programs, to job shadowing mentorship programs, and also some immersive workplace experiences. Beyond these structured activities, Trilhos also provides career guidance, support, continuous support and guidance, both through formal support sessions and informal moments as well, because we believe ongoing support is crucial for success, for Trilhos goals. Now let's shift to employees. Let's also talk about how to improve employees' talent development, because I was also challenged to share some strategies for career co-creation within higher education institutions. Of course, not just for students, but for faculty, for researchers, and for non-teaching staff as well. Well, we already seen that organizations benefit tremendously from structured career development initiatives. Career co-creation fosters job satisfaction, engagement, and commitment, leading to a workforce that is more motivated and more productive. It enhances psychological well-being, which is also an increasingly valued factor in modern workplaces. And it strengthens employer branding, as engaged employees naturally become formal or informal ambassadors for their institution, which is positive. Choosing high impact career interventions is the true path for sustainable talent management. And how can higher education institutions implement career co-creation for staff? Well, institutions can cultivate these initiatives through targeted activities that foster professional development and collaboration. And I would say they need to be integrated in a more strategic program of the people development. Through, for example, mentoring and networking programs with structured initiatives that connect employees across departments and even across institutions, promoting knowledge, promoting sharing and career growth. Also about collaborative and inclusive work environments. Institutions can facilitate career development pathways, facilitating mobility, for example, and skills diversification. And some personal favorites, the career education and literacy programs, because these programs can empower employees by helping them understand what they also can do to their career management. They understand about career management principles, identify growth opportunities on their own as well, and develop on their own as well the strategic career plans in a more assertive way. And this can be supported by institutions. And of course, providing resources and tools and guidance for employees to navigate their careers effectively can boost their confidence and proactivity, because empowered professionals take more ownership of their career paths, leading to greater engagement, innovation, and also retention. These are just a few possibilities, and I reinforce that obviously this has to be considered in the light of the resources available, on the needs and the goals that institutions want to achieve. And they should also be orchestrated as part of an integrated talent people development strategy. This ties back to one of the key messages I emphasized, that empowering employees in their career management is a key driver for organizational success. And when institutions invest in structured career growth initiatives, they don't just create sustainable careers, they optimize talent retention, talent engagement, and the institution performance as well. So let me leave you with a final thought or a final question. A truly sustainable higher education institution is about it's about creating sustainable careers for everyone involved. So how can your institution take one small step toward career co-creation today? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There's always these technical issues. I apologize to everyone involved in this discussion. I didn't know that I had to reboot my computer, so I don't know why, but yeah. But it was so interesting. I mean, this is what why we invited you on the first instance, and the other colleagues, keynote speakers, to present this experience and instruments and tools and approaches that you have, because I think we all are gathering today at this webinar just to learn and to exchange this experience, to see how important it is to nurture our talents. In this case, first of all, to understand what the students want and what business wants, what employers want. So, I'm so happy because I'm also following your career fairs, the Polytechnical University of Coimbra. You have got really wonderful career fairs. We're doing such career fairs at Agriculture University of Plovdiv every year. As far as I understand, you have these career fairs every 2 years, if I'm not wrong. Because is it true?
Well, it's until now it's every year.
Okay,
We
good.
have
Okay.
career fairs in several schools, and we have one major career fair. It's called Job Summit. It's an annual event for now.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm afraid we have to go to the next keynote speakers, but I hope that you can stay also and take some questions from the audience, from the participants. Thank you to Bernardo and to Shanette for, first of all, to agree to become keynote speakers, and also to our participants. This is my pleasure to approach you. It was a bit a critical moment in the beginning. I don't know why we always have these webinar issues with the connection, but now everything is okay. This is an initiative of the UNIgreen Alliance, as you understood. This is an initiative of Work Package 6 together with Work Package 9. I mean, the Work Package 6 is knowledge transfer for employability and entrepreneurship and transfer of skills. And Work Package 9 is the communication package. Thank you to Agatet for organizing this webinar. It was, as a matter of fact, a very quick organization of the webinar, but we felt that it is our responsibility in the third tier of UNIgreen. You may find more information about UNIgreen in the webpage or website of the UNIgreen Alliance. We found our responsibility to organize such seminar because for us, the issue of retaining and nurturing and guiding our talents, as we said, as Christina said, our talents are not only in the students' bench, but also we have talents in the among teachers and among researchers and among administrative and non-administrative staff. So we have to find instruments, modern instruments to stimulate them, to mobilize them in the next years within the framework of the UNIgreen and beyond. So I give the floor to to Bernardo, because Bernardo was actually planned to be the first speaker. Bernardo, can you actually switch on now? Can you hear us?
I'm going to share my presentation again. Sorry for all my technical problems. And yeah, differently from the previous speaker, I'm going to talk about students. And the main point here for us is to support students in identifying their own talents, first of all, because many times we know that our students at the end of their bachelor degrees or master degrees, they really don't know their talents, and they really don't know their own passions. So this is something I think we experienced a lot to support students in at the end of their academic careers, during the development of the master thesis, for example, and to start talk with our students about their own future, about potential job offers, or about future path in terms of their career. And many times what we experienced is that students are used to say to themselves, how do I figure out what I want to do with my life? So they really don't know their talents, and they really don't know their passion at the end of their academic career. So starting from this assumption, we started to think about to design a program that could be able to support them in this process of discovery of their talents or their passion, or better said, of what they would like to do in the future. Because we know that almost 90% of the students really don't know their talents or really don't know their passion. And many times they are stuck in this kind of process. So they are asking for an help, for example, to a career counselor, and the career counselor is asking them, what are you passionate about? And our students really don't know their talents or their own passions. So starting from this issue, starting from this big problem about the discovery of their own talent, we decided to introduce and to start thinking about a program or a process through which we can help students in designing their own work life. How? By following a design thinking approach. The design thinking approach is a methodology that is quite used by companies or organizations when they know quite well their own problem, the initial challenge, and they want to develop something without knowing the what and the how. So starting from the problem, they start this discovery process. And after that, they reframe the problem, the initial problem, and they start prototyping potential solutions and to validate this solution with the users via iterations with the users or customers. And so we decided to capitalize this kind of approach and to transfer this kind of approach to another complex problem that is connected to the design of students' work life, future work life. And basically, we relied on two books developed by two researchers from Stanford University, Barnett and Evans. And we applied the design thinking approach to the design of the future work life of students. And basically, we started by focusing on what we are used to call wayfinding. That is a reflection phase through which the students can better understand the meaning of the future work they want to start, and through which they can also discover a bit more what they really like in their daily life. We think that, yeah, starting from what you like in your daily life, it's extremely important, and it's extremely important to zoom out in order to define what we are used to call life principles. Life principles are principles that are quite important in our life. It's something that can really help us in designing our choices. And starting from the life principle, after that, we help them in start with the ideation phase. Ideation phase means start prototyping potential path, near path of your future. So start defining a meeting you want to have with a company, for example, or with a professional from a company, or to have a chit chat with the professor to talk about a specific research or a specific problem you would like to focus on in your future. And starting from that, basically, we invite them to start defining different moments, different steps during what we are used to call the Odyssey plan. I would like to deepen a bit more what I'm referring by showing you, yeah, the main phases of this process. The first phase, as I said before, is the focus on the problem. The problem is the future of the future career of our students. So, and the first phase for us is a self-reflection phase. It's something that is quite, maybe it's not so usual for students to have this kind of self-reflection, to think about themselves. So we pushed them to start thinking about themselves and the meaning of work for our student, and to start thinking about what they really like during their daily life. And because we think that this is extremely important to define what we are used to call life principles. So this is a more convergent phase. So in the first phase, we called it as a divergent. We called this first phase the divergent phase. The life principles definition is more focused on the convergency. So on the basis of what students like on a daily basis, we help them to define some principles that are connected to their sustainability choices, that are connected to what they really like in terms of interaction with other people, with other students, with other mates, or, for example, with other professors or professionals. And starting from that, we invite them to start the experimentation. So these principles can help them in drive what we are used to call the experimentation phase. What is the experimentation phase? Is first is an ideation phase. So is another divergent phase in this case. So we help them start developing a mind map starting from their life principles to define some specific activity they really like to do on the basis of these principles. And on the basis of these activities, we invite them to define potential job posting. So to define the job post that doesn't exist at all, but that will be the job post they would like to answer in the case that they will find on LinkedIn or somewhere else. So on the basis of these job posts, so that is a potential future job, we invite them to define step by step a plan through which they can reach that position before having other different steps. For example, write an email to a professional, having a meeting with the professors, talking with the company about a specific activity they could do within that organization, and so on. So this is quite, quite focused on practice, on real activities. And for this reason, we invite them to experiment this kind of plan. So to experiment via prototyping it, via defining a list of activity they should do in the near future, within a week. And so week by week, we can follow them in this experimentation phase and this iteration phase, through which they can learn something about what they really want to do in their future career. So this is the process in a nutshell. And this is what we experimented till now. This program has been designed and prototyped during an Erasmus project 3 years ago. And we make experiments with 3 different groups of students from 3 countries, Poland, Portugal, and Italy. Starting from this experimentation phase, we defined a methodology. So also we defined a quite clear methodology with all the steps and all the workshops based on 5 workshops. And based on, as I said before, the first phase is more divergent and focused on self-reflection. The second phase is much more focused on experimentation and prototyping the future career. We introduced this program at our universities, and we already experimented with 2 different groups in 2 different academic years with 2 groups of students, a small group of 20, 25 participants per year. And this program is based on 5 workshops, 5 practical workshops, hands-on workshops, and in 5 weeks to start, prototyping your plan for your future. And and I think that's all from our side. What we saw at the end of this program, we saw students that were much more self-aware of what they really like to do in their future, and they were quite aware of the steps to reach not their ideal work, but a work or a job that was something that was interesting for them and also meaningful for them on the basis of what we defined as life principle. So this is, I think that is something that is really quite connected with sustainability in different ways, because many times our students were focused in terms of life principles on sustainability issues, and also a sustainability approach toward their own life and toward their own future career. And they experimented different prototypes connected with sustainability. For example, I remember there is a student from my department that decided to start experiment and prototype a plan to work on a travel agency focused on sustainable tourism. And starting from this idea connected to sustainability and make trips with her friends, she decided to write an email to a startup company in Germany focused on sustainable tourism. Starting from that point, she began an internship at this company, and now she's still working there. So this is a small example to better understand what we mean, what we call about life principle, and what we call about experimentation. I think that's all from my side.
Thank you very much, Bernardo. Thank you very much. This is another approach, very interesting, by the way. And I just wanted to say that since Unimore is one of the partners in UNIgreen, we'll be delighted to have this this experience that you have and this approach. I believe that Agate can collect all the 3 presentations, and then we can share these presentations with the participants of the today's webinar. This will be very useful for them. I've got one question, but I will leave it for the question and answer session. I would like to invite the participants of this webinar. You have this chat system, and you can place your questions in the chat system while listening to our keynote speakers. So then during the question and answer session, we can convey these questions to our keynote speakers, and then they can answer your questions that you put in the chat. And now, without any delay, I would like to introduce Ms. Jeanette Hemdrup Jacobsen. She can present more about herself, international staff partner at Aalborg University. So, Jeanette, without any delay, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you for inviting me. I'm both honored and quite excited to learn about UNIgreen and be part of your talk today. As you can see from my presentation here, I have been invited to talk about the role of welcome services in attracting and integrating talented international staff. So I'm sort of maybe jumping to another sort of segment than the ones we just heard about, which have been focused a lot on the students and developing talents, but to where we actually work with getting talent to Denmark and making sure that we create supportive environments here for them to work in. Just really briefly, if I can get this to change as well. Yeah, really briefly, as was introduced, my name is Jeanette, and I'm an international staff partner at Aalborg University in Denmark. I have the pleasure of being here for 7 years, and I will be talking to you a little bit about my main tasks, which, as I said, is onboarding international staff. From a personal perspective, I have also been in this situation myself. I've worked abroad, I've been a student abroad, and I've also been a trailing spouse abroad when my husband was posted. So I would say that most of my life and all the experiences and skills that I've acquired have sort of brought me to something that I could use in this position. Aalborg University is situated in Denmark, and it's one of the sort of medium-sized universities in Denmark. We are spread out on 3 different campuses, the main one being in Aalborg, which has also given us our name. And just for the perspective, we have about 21,000 students and approximately 2,300 in staff, research staff. We also have administrative staff. And within the research staff, about 1/3 are international. So we have about 850 international staff members, and those are the ones that I support. The university is a mission-oriented university that you might know for our problem and project-based learning. We collaborate a lot with external companies and across disciplines. So it is really, really important for us to attract international staff. In Denmark, we do not have enough researchers to fill all the universities. So we put quite a lot of effort in both attracting them and also, you use the word retaining. Some of you might have noticed I wrote including. We talk about inclusion and integration here and not so much about retention. Now, as I mentioned, I am part of the International Staff Unit, and the International Staff Unit is placed in the central HR administration. The HR department is about 56 people, and we are just 4 in the International Staff Unit. And the International Staff Unit are here to support departments and managers in the employment and integration of international staff. And we do this because we want to recruit diverse talent, and we want to promote a broad range of perspectives at our university. And obviously we want to ensure that when we then attract staff, they also wish to stay here and pursue a career at Aalborg University. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is how we do this. So it's going to be very practical, with a lot of examples on what it is we do on a daily basis. And I hope that this will be put to some use. I've been reading your UNIgreen perspective, and I think that many of you are probably looking into doing many of these things that I'll talk about today. Now, at the International Staff Unit, we are technically 4, but there's just 3 of us actually working in the unit because our manager has left us and no longer have time to carry out tasks. So we are 3 people to support the entire university. And as you can see from this slide, which I'm not going to go through meticulously, we cover quite a lot of areas. We have a lot of legal responsibilities or administrative responsibilities in that we apply for work and residence permits for all employees, PhD students and guests across the university. We also handle issues such as taxation, social security, and registration, which are also administrative legal matters. But then we also work within quite a lot of softer areas. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we are here to support the management and the departments. But a main part of the services that we actually provide directly to the employees. So that by supporting the employees in their relocation to Denmark, we actually help the management and the department to ensure that they have employees starting ready to work because they don't have to worry about all these administrative difficulties that you will face whenever you relocate to another country. What we do is that we have divided our services into some service packages would be a good word. So when we hire international staff, there are some services that are automatically provided for them. They've been divided into 2 groups. So whenever we hire a postdoc or upwards, so assistant, associate, or full professors and postdocs, they will be provided with a one-to-one, a personal handheld service. And this starts from the moment that they're actually offered the position by the department. And when they're offered the position, then the department will contact us at the International Staff Unit, and we will then set up a pre-boarding meeting with them. And a pre-boarding meeting takes 1.5 hours, and it takes place online. And I will tell you a little bit about the contents of the meeting in a moment. But this is where we start our sort of whole support package to the new staff that will be joining us. We then also offer a on-arrival meeting when they come to Denmark, where we then go through all the things they need to know at that time. And then we offer, of course, ad hoc support, both through their employment, but also during the pre-boarding phase and all the way until they need exit support to make sure that they also leave Denmark in a proper way and they get the support that they need. Now, because we're only 2 international staff partners supporting the entire university, we, of course, also offer support to everybody else, such as our research assistants, our PhD students and fellows, guest researchers and interns. They just get the support as a group meeting online, and we hold them approximately every 2 months, where they get the same information. It's just a little less personalized, but they obviously get help with everything that the first group does as well. Now, I just want to share with you a little of the things that we do cover in these service packages. Now, the pre-boarding meeting, as I said, takes 1.5 hours, and it's because we have quite a lot of subjects that we like to cover during this session. We have divided the sessions based on what information a new employee requires at that given point in the process. So when you have just been offered the position and you're starting to think about, so what does it actually mean accepting this job in Denmark, and what do I need to know and take care of in order to relocate, you know, being able to work, having a place to live and so forth. And then for the arrival meeting, we talk about the things that they need to know when they have arrived in Denmark. Now, it's quite a long list, as you see here. We always prepare a PowerPoint that we share during the presentation so that we can send them a copy of this PowerPoint afterwards. Then they have all the information with useful links. They don't need to take a lot of notes. And also it's a little bit of an information overload. We are quite well aware of that. What we also use these meetings for is sort of getting to know our new employee a little better, to see is there anything in their lives that needs special attention, something they would require specific support for, but also
are they actually prepared, for what they will meet in Denmark also culturally? So we always start a meeting by finding out, have you been to Denmark before? Have you lived abroad before? To sort of get a feel of what, where in their lives they are and what cultural knowledge they have, so that at the end of this presentation, we spent time on talking about the Danish culture and the Danish working culture to prepare them for what they can expect. We also put a lot of emphasis on explaining to them about the Danish model, as we call it, in regards to, so what are the employment laws in Denmark, how do we negotiate salaries, what can you actually negotiate for, and what rights and benefits will you have. We find that it's really, really important in both in attracting talent to Denmark, that people feel that they're well informed and well prepared to make a decision to upend their lives where they are, in many cases bring their families to the other side of the world, and feeling that they feel that they're well informed, and they can take the right decision based on this. But as you can see from this list, it's a lot about the administrative things, the legal things, but also if you bring family along, for example, there's spouse support, and there's also help in regards to childcare, kindergarten, school, and so forth. So we try to sort of cover the whole perspective, and then they can always ask any other questions that they have, and they can also contact us afterwards if they have questions. So this is kind of step one. And many of our departments also use us, and technically these pre-boarding meetings, if they have some talented staff that they really want to attract to Denmark, but they haven't quite had them sort of say yes to a job yet, then they also ask us to have these conversations with them, so they can again look into, would this be something that they would be willing to do, and how would that affect them and their families. So we both do it for those who have already been hired, but also to help our departments attract high profile talents. Now, the next step in this package that we offer is that we send out what we call the ESO Getting Started support approximately 3 weeks before they arrive in Denmark. In this email, they get all the information that they need in order to register upon arrival in Denmark. And there are some different rules depending on whether you are an EU or non-EU citizen, whether you are an employee or you're a guest, whether you're coming to Aalborg or to Copenhagen. But it's all structured in this email again, so that they can prepare from home, they can book an appointment, they can find the documents they need for registering when they come, and they can even start filling in the application. So it takes, again, away the stress and the uncertainty of what will happen when I arrive. And in most cases, it also means that they can actually book an appointment, just literally the day they arrive or the day after, so they can go and register in the Danish system. We call it the CPR system. Because in Denmark, the moment you're registered, then you're fully covered by the Danish healthcare. And again, that also takes some worries away. So emphasis on always making sure that they're well informed, always making sure that they have the information that they need exactly at that time. And as I mentioned, when they then arrive in Denmark, we offer them an on-arrival meeting. And in some cases, much of this information will already have been conveyed through the questions that they have asked us before they arrive. But in some cases, people really feel far more confident when they've had this meeting and we've gone through everything with them, and they can say, check, 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 I've done all the administrative registrations I have to do. Again, we really try to look into this sort of personal and private sphere as well of the relocation, because what is it you actually need to know when you then come to another country? It could be things like, where can I find a weather forecast? Because in a place like Denmark, we have 3 seasons in one day. At some points, it could also be a link to where you can read about Danish news in English instead of you just watching CNN or BBC or whatever you used to watch at home, where you won't find information of what happens actually where you are in the world in Denmark. And things like how to get around, where do I get a travel card? And most importantly, as I would say it, what do you do in case of an emergency? If you have a child that has a fever in the middle of the night, it's really important that somebody has already provided you with the numbers to whom to call. And many of you might think, but is this really the job of the employer or the university to provide this kind of information? But from our perspective, we really believe it is, because a lot of internationals, when they transfer across borders and they have to set up a new life, there are so many worries. And if we could take away all these worries, then we will get somebody who can start work from day one and contribute to our university. So we think it's an obligation, but it's also something, of course, that benefits us in the end, that we put these efforts into it. Now, as I mentioned, we are obviously here to support the management and departments. It just happens that we offer this support to the internationals, but we also speak to the managers when they want to start an employment from somebody coming from abroad, looking into what is actually possible, what is it we need to be aware of, and what could the consequences be. We have often we have international staff who are not able to relocate to Denmark, just when they start their job, and they will be working from abroad for a while, or we have a lot of employments that are only 20%, so where the researcher still has a position in another country and maybe even living in a third country, and then they'll be working for us. At these points, we have to look into things like social security that can obviously be an additional expense and can cause some difficulties also in the long run for the employee and or the university. We have to look into things like what can we actually reimburse, because in Denmark all the universities are state governed institutions. We're public employees, and we cannot just cover travel costs for somebody who's employed here, for example. And then we also, because the world is what it is today, have a risk assessment. We have to look into export control rules and dual use. What would this employee actually have access to? From which country do they come? And here in Denmark, if we have employees coming from a select group of countries, we have to carry out a risk assessment before we are allowed to employ them. So all these things we guide and advise the departments and managers on. And then the last thing is the cultural awareness, that the need to be cultural aware, both when we do the job postings, during the hiring process, but also during the employment, to make sure that we don't employ people who are then not prepared for what they're going to meet here, where it might not have been cleared exactly what we expected them to do when they arrived here. It's really, really important. I have somebody always says it looks like the McDonald's sign with my little bubbles over here, but all research shows that if you want to have multicultural teams that perform better than monocultural teams, you need to have cultural awareness. So this is something that we work on a lot here at the university as well. So as I said in the beginning, we don't really use the word retention so much as inclusion and integration, because it's really important that everyone is included and everybody feels that they have equal opportunities. And by that, we mean that we have equity and not just equality. And if it's permanent staff that will settle here in Denmark and stay here in the long run, then it's integration that we're looking at. And we have different things that we do in order to support this across the university. And again, many of you might think, well, these are very soft things. Isn't this just like an additional benefit that you give to internationals? But it's really important for me to emphasize that this is extremely important. I beg your pardon, in order to create the inclusion and the integration, in order to ensure that people get a network and they can feel at home here and safe, and it's somewhere they want to settle. So at our unit, we also offer a number of events. We try to keep them cost-free. We try to keep them open, not just, some of them are just for staff during working hours, such as we meet for an international lunch where you can just turn up, eat with colleagues, meet new people across faculties. We have a afternoon meetup as well, again, where you can come meet the international staff unit, meet other people. If you need help, you can always ask that, or you can just have a cup of coffee. Then we try to do events that focus on the different cultures that are here at university, and we really try to encourage our Danish staff members to participate as well. And we try to invite our international staff in to also host things like we have had lessons in yoga, Argentine tango, Chinese tea ceremonies, and so forth, to sort of promote their other cultural skills that they bring to Denmark. And then we also have a Christmas party Danish style to show them a little about the Danish culture as well. But the point is that all these events are there again to promote inclusion and integration. And we really do feel that it is worthwhile as an employer to offer these things and invite, all our staff, both international and Danish, into, to run them and make sure that it's always relevant for them as well. Apart from that, we also run an AU+1 spouse and partner network for spouses. And again, this is the support. It's one of the main issues we really have here in Denmark is that we get international staff. We have wonderful opportunities for them, but it can be really difficult for their spouses to find a job when they get here because, first of all, they won't know Danish. And despite the fact that you can speak English and happily get about your life in Denmark, there will be a lot of jobs where Danish will be required. And it obviously makes it a bit difficult. But we do all we can to support the spouses as well. We have external collaborators who helps us for those who want to seek a job. Again, we try to have social meetups and make sure that these spouses also are able to network, and they can also participate in many of the events that I showed you before. We also try to promote, again, the network and the inclusion through these different social media groups that we have mostly on Facebook. So where we create communities at the different campuses and also for the spouses where they can meet, share, ask questions of each other. And then we send out a newsletter with information also about the events. And we have an event today, for example, which is an international potluck, where everybody brings a dish and then we all have dinner together and we do a cultural quiz and so forth. It's very, again, low key. It doesn't take a lot of planning. It doesn't cost anything. So anything like this. And we, for example, have 4 spouses running our spouse network. So again, we don't have to put that many resources into it because we are only 3 people, but we get the spouses to sort of help us run the network. So it's sort of sometimes finding how you can create lots of opportunities with as little resources as possible. And again, we also offer cultural intelligence workshops across the university in order, again, to promote the cultural awareness, to make sure that we are aware so we get the most out of having international staff at our university. It's, again, like Christina said at the beginning, it's actually about having different perspectives and insights, and the more different views we have on things, the more performance we have and the higher innovation we have. So again, a big focus area for us here. And last but not least, I just want to mention that we're also working on parallel language principles, because it has been decided here at our university that we are a parallel language university where English and Danish is used simultaneously, and both of them has to be used where that makes sense. And then each situation then decides, do we need one language, the other language, or both of them, but they have the same value here. And I believe I'm running a little out of time, so I won't go into any details, but please feel free to ask me about any of these things afterwards. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Annette. It was, I mean, this question about and this topic about talent management is so wide, but I appreciate that you intervene with one very important, let's say, a challenge or question related to, as you said, integration or engagement rather than retention. I just want to point out that retention is actually used in the sense that we would like to retain some of the best talents in order to mitigate, for instance, the so-called brain drainage.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, going abroad to search for better conditions or living or whatever, or professional realization. So, yeah, this is another issue that we'll bring to the discussion today. So, extremely important topic, Jeanette, in relation to creating a good social life for our our staff and students and foreign guest teachers or whatever. Now, I would like to ask, I'll actually open the next point, which is in our agenda. This is the panel discussion, which is devoted to implementing efficient instruments for retaining and harnessing talents, UNIgreen talents in a diverse, multicultural, integrated environment. So this is the overall topic of this discussion. But as we can see, we can split this in 2 or 3 subtopics related to creating, or let's say providing a good technical environment, professional environment, because I can imagine as a researcher and teacher that for university staff, when they move to one place to another, or one university to another, or even staying in its own university, it is important to have a solid technical professional conditions, modern apparatus or other research equipment and infrastructure, because for instance, for me, this is probably one of the most important conditions to develop myself as a researcher. So I can imagine that this is probably number one priority, but nevertheless, that the next priority is to have a good social life. Really, and again, my linkages to Jeanette's presentation, because there is a program, by the way, which is called ERA Chair. Jeanette, I don't know whether you have this program, but this is also to Christina and to Bernardo. This is a European program which is called ERA Chairs. I'll put the link now in the chat system for everyone to see. But ERA Chairs is actually one of the programs in the under the Horizon Europe framework program, and it provides finances for some really good researchers. For instance, a Danish researcher is working in England or Netherlands or whatever, to come back home in Aalborg University, I'm just giving you an example, and develop a kind of small research group that he or she has been developed in England or Netherlands, and work on a very specific and very relevant European problem, you know. And of course, your presentation is really related to that, because when this Danish person is coming back from, let's say, 5 or 10 or 15 years working abroad, coming back to Denmark, again, I can imagine that the situation could have been different. So he or she needs certain help in that. So there are very interesting programs also related to Christina and Bernardo presentations about a program which is called Maria Sklodowska-Curie. And when through this program, researchers even from third countries of the European Union can come to our universities in the European Union and make their PhDs or short courses or internships, whatever. So Maria Sklodowska-Curie is really important program in that sense, because this program also brings some cultural diversity, because there are researchers from Egypt or from Asia or whatever. So these people has to integrate, even for 6 months or a year or a PhD period, they have to integrate successfully in our universities. So thank you very much to all three of you. Then I'll open the floor to our participants to ask their questions in related to the topic of our discussion, which is again, implementing efficient instruments for retaining and harnessing UNIgreen talents in a diverse, multicultural, integrated environment. So if you have your opinion, or if you want to ask questions, please come forward. I see that there are people in our audience, and I see that in the chat system there were also our fellow colleagues from the 8 higher education institutions in UNIgreen. So please, if you want to share your opinion, please come forward. Who wants to do this? I have my questions, but I'm just waiting for our large audience.
Professor Popov, try with your question from the beginning, and I'm sure someone will ask. You need to give the example and things.
Yeah, thank you very much, Agatha. Thank you for giving me this. I'm coming back to the presentation of Christine. Students, I have to tell you, Christina, that we already for a second year within our work package 6 and UNIgreen, we have a task to make a survey and to interview our teachers and students in regards to what kind of skills they need in order to improve their employability chances and opportunities, etc. And I have to tell you that it was for me a striking, let's say, experience last year after the first survey to discover that most of the employers, because we did the survey in 3 parts, to students, researchers, and employers. And most of the employers, instead of looking for purely technical skills, professional skills of the students, they were looking for soft skills, like skills to make good presentations, skills to work in teams, skills, leadership skills, or skills to solve critical problems or something like that. And it was really striking for me to see that, for instance, some of the students, or let's say a big percentage of our interviewed students, they were also kind of putting forward that they would like to have more stronger soft skills. And it is really good because in this case, if we teach them, if there is a special, let's say, programs to improve their soft skills, they can match with the needs of the employers, you know. And this is very interesting for me to know if you have this experience during your career fairs, because as I said, Agroecology University of Plovdiv, that I am professor in, is making these career fairs every year. Now in April, on the 9th of April, we'll have our career fair. And usually we have people from, employers and business companies, and they have this opportunity to chat with the students directly, you know. And the first impression is probably the most relevant impression. So how do you see this from your perspectives, from your experience?
Well, thank you for your question. Yes, employers ask for soft skills rather than technical skills, and that is a psychological reason for that, because we are talking about behavior. Soft skills have to do with behavior, and employers know that. Okay, you're not there yet technically, but you have learning potential, you are intelligent, you can adapt and learn new things. So you just have to have that potential. We will teach you. And with the support, with the mentorship in the beginning, with training, they can reach the level, the technical level they want with ease. But about soft skills, this has to do with behavior, with attitude, with aptitude as well. So it's not something that you change from one day to the other or with the training. So employers are really concerned about looking for the right soft skills for their environment, for their culture, for their company culture. And that is important. And at Trilhos program, we are aware of that. And that's why we are much more than the job fairs and career fairs. We have a lot of activities that support that soft skills growth and development. and also making students aware of what the market expects. Because at those moments of interaction with employers, the students see what they need to showcase, what they need, how they need to present themselves to the employers. To give you an example, yesterday we had one career fair from one of the schools of Polytechnic University, and the week before at Trilhos, at one of the formal follow-up activities, we talked about how to prepare to a job fair, how to prepare to an interaction with a company in the career fair. So they know how to present themselves, how to show they are proactive, they have initiative, they know somehow what they want, what they are looking for. And they are not just in a receptive mode, but in a proactive mode towards the market and the opportunities. So soft skills are really important for professionals, not only for students, but for professionals through all their lifetime, their careers. And that's why talent development is so important, because it also needs to focus on technical skills, yes, but also soft skills. So yes, soft skills are critical.
Thank you. I have a feeling that the soft skills are really kind of getting so high importance for the companies that our students. For instance, I can give another example. We have in every PhD program. In every PhD program, we have a training on soft skills, on present. For instance, much more on so-called presentation skills, which is one part of that. There are 12 or 15 soft skills, but we are having a special subject on that. Thank you, Bernardo. For you, I've got what kind of question I wanted to career counselor, which is really important, and I really am pushing in. For instance, in my university to reevaluate or reevaluate the importance to create an individual plan, development plan for each bachelor, master, or PhD student. So in that case, I fully agree that the career counselor is very important. What I wanted to say is okay, orientation programs and orientation day. Do you have this kind of events, and can you tell me something about this if you have it in Unimore?
Yes. Thank you, Vladislav. Yes, we have orientation day, and also we have also job fairs, and we have career counselors too. The point is that many times when students start having meeting with career counselor, they are used to feel a lot of frustration because they really don't know what they want.
Yeah.
So basically what we decided to do is not to substitute career counselor at all. We want to help them, and we want to help them by providing students with this kind of program that is focused on self-awareness. Self-awareness about what they really like to do, and starting from what they really like to do to start thinking about their future. So this is basically what the main aim of this program and of this experimentation we developed some years ago. And yeah, the main point for us is many times students really don't know their passions. So they know what they like, but they really don't know what they want to become in the next future, pushed by this internal fire, internal passion, because maybe they don't have. And for us, it's okay. This is the main point for us. So this kind of awareness that even if you don't have a real passion or a real talent, it's not a problem at all. You can really have a great career, a work life, but you need to find a way through which you really like it to do right now. And we think that this is the best way to experiment and the best way to also to change your attitude, change your mindset in a more proactive way. So this idea of experimentation for us is quite important, because many times this idea to not have a talent or to not have a passion have this kind of effect on people that are passive, more or less. And and we really want to overcome this attitude, this negative attitude to push proactivity.
You mentioned that this is an elective subject or elective program in the master courses. So how do you approach? I mean, you are approaching the supervisors of the master programs and offering them this design thinking program, or not, or vice versa.
It is a free choice. Is a free choice exam. Is a free choice program. So they can introduce this program in their own academic career. Many times this is something they are doing after the end of their career, more or less, near the thesis period. And several times also they decided to do it not for credits, but to know something more about themselves. And the idea is that, something maybe I don't focus a lot is that all this self-reflection is based on, yes, on a personal investigation of yourself, but at the same time we are used to have this kind of interaction approach. Every time there is something like a person that is in charge to give you feedback, and to invite you to avoid bias or potential pitfalls or potential principles that are not connected to what you just said before. So the idea is that to have always someone that is helping you in this reflection about yourself. And this is, we are working at, basically our students will work with couple, so with pairs of students through which this interaction is always, an iterative process.
Okay, thank you, Bernardo. For Jeanette, I've got again very similar, by the way. The departments are approaching your international staff units, or vice versa, or this is the two-way process. I mean, how it goes. I mean, it's interesting to me. How do you work with the departments?
Yes, well, I guess it is both ways, because when we were first established 7 years ago, we obviously had to make them all aware of where we were and what services we offer. And I think we've, over the years, have developed a really good relationship. So they are very keen to use our services. So obviously they reach out to us, but we also reach out to them when we realize that there are some focus areas they need to be aware of. So we're very proactive in the way that we support both the staff and the departments. Obviously, it's a very big institution, and problems do arise, from a multicultural environment where we can go and support. So both ways.
Thank you. And then, I mentioned just a few minutes ago about the brain drainage. Do you observe something like that? And please share, because for us, I'm telling you, and probably you have students and graduates or teachers and researchers coming from Central and Eastern European countries. So we feel this problem of brain drainage, and some of our talents are migrating in Western European countries and Western European universities because of all these reasons that you have mentioned. We have mentioned, like professional conditions, technical conditions, but also social life and life for their families. So, how do you tackle this challenge?
Yes, I think it's a very well-known issue across all of Europe, and it is obviously why they also create support units such as the one I'm in, to make it more attractive to come, to Denmark and to our university. In Denmark, I guess the problem is also that we just don't have enough Danish researchers. It's not just because they are traveling to somewhere else, but we will never be able, to fill our universities with just Danes. So we are very dependent on getting international staff.
Yep.
I think that we have staff coming from a very wide array of the world. In some sections, some areas, we find that it's really difficult to recruit from European countries. It's mainly Asian countries or Arabic countries where we can get candidates. So it's very different from which area it is. So there is an emphasis on trying actually to attract from more European countries in some areas where they are a bit struggling now because of the risk assessments that we have to make for certain countries. It's become more difficult to employ from further abroad.
Yeah, therefore, thank you. Therefore, I mentioned these programs like Maria Sklodowska-Curie and the ERA chair. I'm just displaying in the question and answer a link. I'm sending the link to the European program, which is called ERA chairs, because actually through ERA chairs we can bring some really valuable national researchers. I mean, no matter which country in the European Union, we can bring them back, and they can develop really good research groups on really very important European challenges. So therefore, I'm mentioning this program because this year it's a very competitive program. The money are not sufficient as usual. But last year we have managed, we are relatively small university, Agriculture University of Plovdiv in Bulgaria, but we have managed to bring back one researcher from Switzerland, Bulgarian, who created a group in one of the research institutes in Switzerland to working on microplastics in soil, which is a very, very important issue now in the European Union. So I can just giving you an example why such programs are really important, but also in relation to cultural diversity that you have mentioned, Jeanette, and so beautiful, events that you organize, like these gatherings with all these different researchers from different countries. We're also doing such event usually in May in my university, because we have some master students and PhD students from various countries. So we're organizing one day of cultural diversity, cultural exchange, which is excellent. This is beautiful event. Yeah.
Sounds lovely. Yeah.
Thank you, Shannon. Do we have any other questions from the audience? I'm not the only one to ask questions. Please.
I'm really sorry, but any question for our public? I think they love your questions.
It's so interesting discussion, by the way, because I really have discovered some new tools and new instruments that I promise that I'll put them, and therefore I'll be asking you to send us to me and to UNIgreen information about your experience, not only presentations, but if you have something on paper like articles or something written, please send it to us, because we can use your examples in our UNIgreen Talent Management Strategy and Action Plan. So we'll be very grateful to you to send us your experience in talent management.
And thank you for your participation in this webinar. In order to consistently improve the quality of the event and better meet your expectations, we strongly encourage you to fill the satisfaction survey I will send you in the QA session, and I will also send you after by email. It will not only take a few minutes, but your feedback will really be available in helping us to make future webinars even more relevant and engaging. And thank you in advance for your participation. And we still really apologize again for the technical issue during this webinar. And we hope also to see you in our next webinar, because we will have on the 20th of March a new webinar to learn about more on our UNIgreen strategy, on the green strategy and initiatives to combat climate change, organized also in partnership with WP6. And I will leave the floor to Professor Popov to conclude this webinar. Thank you very much for all our speakers and all participants to be there today.
Thank you very much, Agatha. I really also join you. Me and Bernardo, we apologize for this technical. I really don't know what happened, but I had to reload my computer. But that's okay. The most important is that we brought this important issue and topic related to talent management, because the more experience we got from the 27 European countries, the better. This is my opinion, and I think you can join me in that. Next to that, Agathe, you'll send our questionnaire after the meeting to all participants, and I'll be very grateful if you answer this question, which is very short. It's like 5 minutes. But next to that, we have another seminar, which is the one issue that is important not only for our universities, but also for the wider society, which is ecological footprint program and carbon footprint program that UNIgreen is developing already for a 3rd year. So you can hear about our approach, UNIgreen approach to carbon capturing and mitigation of climate effects. So it will be on the 20th of March, if I'm not wrong. So you are invited all to participate. But thanks again to our wonderful keynote speakers. I'm really grateful for your presentations. Wonderful. I would like to have you in Plovdiv in Bulgaria one day. So please be invited to come to our 8 UNIgreen higher education institutions, universities. Agathe, thank you very much. I know that we created some difficulties, complications to you, but it was not intentional. I mean, for us, it was also not a pleasant moment. So thank you once again. I'm closing this webinar, and I hope to see you in the near future within UNIgreen events. So thank you and have a very nice day.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.